All right. So if you're like me, you were probably wondering at the beginning of the year, is the new Titan as good as the old Titan? I had to basically buy a helmet to find out because I really wanted to find that answer out myself. Got some questions answered. I was able to test some things out. Got some complaints. We're gonna go through it all right here, but I got them both side by side. On the right, you'll see the new Titan AMS. That's the carbon fiber, the Pro, whatever, the big fancy one. That's the carbon Titan on the left. I just like a really light helmet, so that's what I've been getting for snowmobile helmets recently. But I'll show you what's outfitted on them. I'll explain the differences, what I like, what I don't like, and just kind of all the parts and pieces. So we're going to go ahead and set this nice and close, drop this down, and get right down to it. So we're going to start here on the right. This is the new one. Got this all set up. Absolute win on this new helmet. The removable lenses. These magnetic lenses are an absolute game changer. These are awesome. You just literally pull them out. You can just take them off. I want to put, take these off. I want to put a new different lens in. It's that quick. They just snap right in. They're magnetic. Heat's included with that, so you can take this off. This is a photochromic heated lens. You see the little spots there, but you can swap in a non-heated lens. You can put in a heated lens. You obviously have to hook up the power. That's still a thing, but yeah, that's awesome. One set of frames handles everything. So to the right is closed, over here to the left is open, and you have multiple settings in between that you can set it to add or decrease airflow. Same thing on the front. You do get some airflow with here. For what I can remember, I very rarely ever use this. I think up is closed, down is open, but most of the time I don't need a ton of airflow. If I want airflow, I just pop it open and take the airflow that I want. So those are awesome. I mean, the goggles are an absolute win as far as these magnetic lenses. Love that. Muzzle being able to open without taking goggles off. That's awesome as well. You'll notice too, if I take this off here and then I open it up, now the nose piece actually comes with it. That's a pretty neat idea. I like it in concept. I'll explain one of the complaints I have that is stemming from that here in just a minute. The other part of it, it does have the AMS system, so the air management system. Negative pressure from the wind basically sucks air out, and these tubes go up to the front, and so it's basically sucking air through the helmet and keeping your mouth area dry, or at least more dry than what you get in the other Titan. Okay, in concept, everything works good, everything's grand, everything works good. Hi, kitty boy.
How you doing? Hi, kitty boy.
So anyway, only complaints. First off, I'll start this off by saying this Titan right here is going back on warranty right now anyway. So some of these things are probably not a manufacturing-wide problem. It's just maybe this one had a slight issue, but I'll explain exactly what that is. First things first, this chin curtain just unthreaded itself. Like ride one, it started doing this, and it's literally it's unstitching itself. So that was going to get replaced regardless. But a chin curtain is a cheap part, easy to get. But, it's one of them deals where it's like, whatever the issue is, it's a warranty thing. They should be able to fix that. They should fix it. That's one ride that should not happen. So I trust the brand to do a good enough job. They've always done a good enough job with things in the past. I'm not worried about that becoming a common issue. However, the other issue that did creep up is the lenses. I had either a set of frames or lenses either short out or have some type of issue. But every time I would hook it to a snowmobile, and this was not right away, I used them for a couple days, it would blow the fuse on the snowmobile. 3 fuses blew on 2 different sleds. So something on these specific goggles is broken, so these are going back as well. The whole helmet's going back, but obviously when you spend a very high chunk of money, and the chin curtain, minor deal, not as big of an issue. The goggles failing is kind of a big deal. That shouldn't happen. So that's kind of annoying. Another thing about this is the new one they also introduced, a battery pack that can go on the back of the helmet. I'm going to grab that real quick. So here's this. This is the battery pack. It mounts to the back of the helmet, or it can mount to the back of the helmet. I chose not to mount it. I actually would really prefer for them to take this battery and give me like a big enough one I can put in my pocket. So this is 3,000 milliamp hour. So this is 3,000 milliamp hour. If they gave me one that was like double and then double. So it's like a nice big pad, or maybe not double, but double the height, maybe add a little bit to the width, but a nice flat pad that I can put in my pocket, and I can run this cord down to my pocket instead of to the back of the helmet. Back of the helmet's not a bad option, but running it down to the pocket would be kind of nice. Like, I could really do that. That'd be awesome, because this thing could be a lot bigger, and then you still have the option to, you plug in your cord here, because this is the other thing. I don't like this connection being out in the snow. This is going to freeze. This is going to create problems. So I don't really like that. It does have a cool indicator there. You can see it'll tell you where it's charged at, what the charge level on it is. But yeah, I would like to almost just have a pocket version if possible. Because there's an issue with this, and I'll explain here what it is. So now we're hooked up. Now this has the choosing. So I press and hold. You'll see it blink. I press once. Now it's on. So now this is on, and what you should see is an LED indicator on the lens that tells you it's on. Like I said, these goggles have had issues. The frames, the lenses, I'm not sure where the short is or where the issue is. Something is not working properly. I have a heated set of yellow lenses that doesn't work. This set doesn't work. The LED did work at one time. It just doesn't work anymore. So that's the issue. It's going back on warranty. However, the point is that's high, that's medium, that's low, and then you can press and hold to turn it back off. So that's kind of a nice option for when you only need your heat for a tiny fraction of time. You don't need it the whole time. You just need it for small amounts of time each to prove to you guys that it does indeed work. I guess I would need to probably just scooch it over here. Let's pull the other helmet up real quick. Obviously, you saw the strap light up, so that's obviously proof that it works, but I can also hook it in right here, and you can see it lights up. This actually is kind of loose too, though. That strap needs a little bit of work. So yeah, 12-volt connectors. Please, for the love of God, can we get rid of these? These things always get loose. So someday we'll get some better ones. But yeah, so the battery pack, nice concept. I would like to just see it done a little differently. Now, again, this is the first iteration, so they have chances to make differences. But if you're going to go out and buy the full, big, expensive helmet, just understand that this is not going to be able to do the same amount of oomph that a 12-volt connector on your snowmobile does. So if you're a trail rider especially, in my opinion, stick to the 12-volt. Don't worry about trying to carry a battery pack or stick it on the helmet or anything. Just hook it to the sled in intervals and just work with it from there. I think that's more worth the money, because this helmet with all the bells and whistles and crap was over $1,000. You can get a non-carbon version for like $500. So I would say start there. Maybe add the heated lenses if you need them, but I don't know that you will. May not even be a problem. I used this helmet on a very, very cold day, and it worked great. So the only time I definitely needed the heat was with snow. It was really humid outside, and it was a bad night. It was really hard to keep it from getting the freeze effect. Another complaint I have, so obviously these are shorted. They're going back. That's a warranty issue. That may not be, helmet wide, but it is something to be aware of, is that, there's probably something with either the terminals getting wet or frozen, or something in here getting wet or frozen. Something caused a short. Another issue that the new helmet has that the old one didn't is they use these plastic clips down here. The other ones were long and metal. And so I'm trying to see if I got the other muzzle. I just have to set it here. But if you look at the other muzzle, you can see just how tall and metal. It's a tall metal prong that they used as a latch system. Absolutely rock solid. Latched every time. This one, you can kind of see, it latches, but it's kind of picky. Like this is kind of a common thing. Now you can push it and get it the rest of the way to latch, but as snow and the elements build up, you get a bunch of ice build up in between these layers here, and you get a little bit more of an issue, especially when it's really cold. This will end up looking a lot like this. And you're like pushing on it, and it just doesn't want to latch. You have someone come up and kind of bang on it to try to latch it in. And so I think it's partially just these are thicker
They're plastic, where the other ones are thinner, longer, and metal, so they would just cut through the ice and latch, where this one, it's going to bounce off the ice a little more. Like I said, I really want this latching system to go back to metal prongs. I think metal prongs, especially because you can make them thinner, will allow it to cut right through the ice and the snow and just get right into latching, where these plastic ones try to bump just too much snow and stuff and ice out of the way, and it can't quite do it. You end up a lot of times like this, where half of it's latched, half of it's not. I actually had this thing like this at one ride, and it popped open mid-ride, just popped open like that. I got an absolute dusting of snow right in the face. So that's one of those where that's more of a design flaw. I really hope they fix the muzzle. It wouldn't take a ton. I mean, this latch system works. Just instead of going with plastic, this piece here being plastic, because this is one solid piece, just making this part change to metal would really fix a lot of that. So we'll see, but that's not a warranty thing. Just the goggles and the curtain are the warranty things. That would be its own unique thing. And then the last part of it, between the two helmets, is just the size. I mean, this thing is like a giant cube on your head. I will say the original Titan is a very good looking helmet. The current Titan is like a Minecraft head. It's just very cubic. Very flat across the top. Now, these are AMS vents, so I get that. It's got some new designs and stuff, so this little plug comes out the back. You get better airflow. So there's reasons for it, but it's very, very cubic. And I will say, one comment my friend had, he also has a Titan, and when he tested my helmet out for a day, he said his head got cold. Now, to be fair, it was very, very cold. It was -5 that day. We were riding in very cold conditions, and his mask is not overly thick. So I didn't have my head get cold. I rode earlier in the day, and I tend to run hotter anyway. So just for note is that you might have to get a slightly thicker mask on cold days, because your head may there might be enough air movement in there that it actually does get cold if it's really brisk outside. But yeah, overall, not a bad design. I think I would wait, personally, an extra year for these to get maybe some adjustments. Like I said, the muzzle's a big one to me. This is just a natural freezing point. You have a lot of moisture that's going to get in there, and having trouble latching this over the course of a day is a big deal. Like I said, they had them on this one. It was a metal thin prong, and it just latches so much more solid. It's so much more crisp of a latch. And I would really like them to come back to that here. They have it right. Just copy exactly what you did on this helmet on that muzzle, and you're golden. Setting up the cardo in it, awesome. It was really easy to get the cardo set up in here, so I really like that. Overall, though, this was a $1,000 helmet. This was like a $300 helmet. Well, maybe it's $300 where I got it. I think they're more like $5 or $6 right now, carbon fiber or whatever. But whatever the cost, right now, I'm going to have to use this for the rest of the year. I don't even mind. I really didn't need to fix or replace my helmet. I liked this one. I just got this one mostly out of curiosity. I really wanted to know how good it was and how much of a difference it made. And it was solid. Like I said, I rode this with this helmet all day in the really cold weather. Got no frosting or freezing. Everything ran great. Had a little bit of a fogging issue when it was really wet out. Like I said, wet meaning a ton of snow was falling. So when that happened, I really needed my heater, and that was the night that my heater shorted, and so I had no heater, so that one really sucked. That ride was a real problem. So yeah, overall, my experience with the helmet was not good, just because of all the failures and issues. I don't know that it's a bad design. I think this thing is a few tweaks away from being perfect. Like I said, the lenses, wherever the short is, it may just be my strap. Mine might be the only one that shorted. I'm suspecting that's not the case, but whatever the reason, the short happened or whatever happened to it, I'm not sure. It was something not ridiculous. I didn't jump in any water or anything like that. I just rode in some deeper snow, and so it's like if the snow melted when we went in the bar and then shorted when we plugged it back in after leaving, that may mean you have to wipe your goggles off every time you go into the bars or wherever you're going to go to warm up and eat your dinner and stuff, but I don't want to have to do that. I just want to be able to plug them in and make them work. And so that's not going to be good enough if that's the case. But we'll find out. We're going to send this back and we'll see what they warranty on it or what they come back with. But overall, I think it's a great helmet, especially at the non-carbon fiber level when you're only paying around $500 for it. I think it's a very solid helmet still. That being said, I think I'm still going to use this one for at least the next year. We'll see. I have this one. If they just warranty it and fix it, send it back, I'll probably still use it. By no means was it a bad helmet. Just a few things I would really like to see fixed. The latch system is a big one. You can see right here, just me messing with it. And look at how many times I kind of have to wiggle it to get it in there. And this one, I mean, literally, this isn't even right. This is supposed to be under. Doesn't matter. I mean, it just latches. It just does what it's supposed to do. I love that. It's like, oh, this isn't right. That's going to actually cause it to, nope, it'll still latch. Still latched. Look at that. And now, actually, secondly, not even latched right. This side didn't go in. But it's still hard. It's like, it gets a good hard latch to it. So either way, that seems to go like, the spring in it is stronger too. I'm noticing that. Like, this spring is not near as strong as that one. So, yeah, just a couple of small tweaks and things like that. I guess I didn't even review some of the other stuff with these front vent clips, things of that nature. Obviously, like I said, I did set up a cardo on it, so the cardo setup was great. That was really easy. And I did use a heater cord on both. So overall, though, like I said, my response or my review of it is good, solid helmet. Mission is still an absolute GOAT for trails. The Mission has this beat on just trail riding specifically. Once you do want to do some backcountry and have the easy access to pop your vent, your muzzle open and stuff, I would still take this on the backcountry end, because the big problem with this is going to be the ice buildup here that creates the issue where it doesn't want to relatch. That's a big problem. And so unless they get that addressed, I would still take this one for backcountry. For the best hybrid between both, this is a pretty good hybrid. I mean, really, if you're not going in a lot of deep snow, but you want to have the option and stuff, this is a pretty solid option. If you can get this thing to latch and work pretty consistently, the goggles work pretty flawlessly. Like I said, the magnetic lenses are awesome. That's a really great feature. And then the airflow. When you're going, you have way more air get in on here than you do on here. This does not let much air in. There's a tiny amount of air that kind of gets in, but for the most part, it just works. You just throw it on your head and it just works. This one, you throw it on your head, you kind of sometimes have to adjust these goggles. These lenses can be a little tricky from time to time to try to get them to line up just right and keep the airflow out. But these, you just slap them in and they just work. So overall, like I said, not a bad helmet by any stretch. I think I'm just disappointed because, like I said, I've liked the stuff that came on the first Titan for so long, and when they showed up and said they were doing a second one, I had to know how good it was going to be, and so a little disappointed with some of the results so far. But like I said, we'll see. I'm going to have to send it back for warranty, so we'll see what they come back with. And I mean, like I said, if they can make a pocket version of this, and I can start running my heater out of there when I need to, with that that strap where you get to choose. That's awesome. I would love for this to get changed over to the magnetic connector too. That'd be awesome. That magnetic 12 volt is an absolute dream to be able to just magnetically tether to stuff. That thing is another game changer. So the company's still doing good things. I can't give this helmet my blessing just yet. It just didn't quite meet the expectations for the price point that it was at. So anyway, guys, let me know any of your questions in the comments. I'll try to answer what I see down there as far as the trip and what kind of conditions it went through, and different variables that might apply to this helmet versus the other helmet and whatnot. But other than that, that'll pretty much wrap up this part of it. Welcome to the channel. This is my first video on this one, so yeah. So let me know anything you got on the Titans. You can find them. I got mine at Dennis Kirk, but you can find them in a lot of places. So other than that, thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button. More videos to come.